Hi, I'm Bob Schickedanz, President of the Ontario Home Builders Association.
And I'm Melissa Schenk, SABA's Executive Officer.
We're traveling across Ontario to talk about the housing crisis, and it's time to
cut
the
Bob and I have landed in London, otherwise known as the Forest City and my hometown, and I'm joined by Jared Zafman. You are the CEO here at the London Home Builders Association. Now, Jared, I didn't grow up in London, but I've been in London for almost 20-ish years, and so this, I definitely call London my home.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you are seeing at the Home Builders Association, housing issues? There's been a lot of changes.
Yeah, I mean, London has seen a lot of changes in the last number of years. You know, I've been fortunate to call it home my whole life. And, you know, we've been seeing, at least especially in the last 5 years, population growth has been exploding here in the city, people coming in from the GTA, new international students, new immigration coming to London. This massive population growth is really causing a significant challenge on the housing supply that we have here in London. And we're trying to just keep up with it. Our builders, our developers, we're trying to keep up, and we're working with the city, trying to make sure these issues are solved, making sure we have enough housing supply online as possible so that we can build the needed homes that people are severely needing and demanding. And without that, you know, we're finding that we're having this huge affordability challenge where the price of a home in London has gone up so significantly over the last number of years that people that live in London are starting to get priced out of the home that they're used to calling home, which is just not something that we should be having. And our industry wants to make sure that we can build those critical homes that everyone needs.
So, and do you think, I find this really interesting that London has become a very desirable place to live. So when you look at the statistics, people are driving from, they're moving out of Toronto and into London, areas like London, but London's almost numbered top on the list as a place to want to live.
Absolutely. It's a great destination. I mean, we're fortunate that we still have land to build on in the city where people can actually be able to buy a home with some space, where they can have a yard, or if they want a townhouse, if they want an apartment. I mean, we're trying to build the whole housing spectrum here in London so that there's something for everybody. And I think that's a big reason why it is so desirable. And the fact that, you know, we're close to the States, we're close to Toronto, we're a great sized city where there's lots of great amenities here. And so trying to make sure that there's a home for everyone is going to be a really critical part for us.
And when you break London down into, say, the north and the south and the east and the west, the prices have really changed and fluctuated. I can say, you know, even in the past 5 years, how different, well, maybe 5 to 7 years, how different those prices have been.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, 5 years ago in London, you know, a new single detached home in the higher end might have been $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. You know, we're starting now $800,000, $900,000, $1 million, $1.2 million for a new home, and that's really, again, because of the challenge that we have between supply and demand. And we really need to cut the excuses out and just start building more, getting more supply online. And that's a big partnership with us in the city that we need to work on, that we are working on, but we need to make sure that supply increases, because again, otherwise what we're seeing in those prices going up at such a rapid scale. I mean, even a year ago, 2 years ago, a property that might have been $200,000 is now selling for $400,000. So that's just the scale we've been seeing here. It's unbelievable.
So I always say everybody probably knows somebody that has an issue with availability because of those prices. Do you know somebody that, does anybody come to mind?
I mean, sadly, the case is I think we all know someone, and I
Yeah.
certainly know many people, including one of my best friends. You know, he was fortunate. He moved to Toronto, him and his wife, a number of years ago, started their careers there, but they wanted to move back to London to start their family where they were called home. And they were fortunate. They came here about 3 or 4 years ago and were able to get into the market at what was then
Just in time.
Just in time.
Yeah.
And just after that, my best friend's sister, who's just a little bit younger, she's now back in London as well. She's looking for a home, she's looking for a place to rent, and she's finding she's have to live with her parents because it's almost unaffordable to do either at this point.
Yeah, see, this is why we're hitting the streets and why we're doing what we're doing and why we are traveling around talking about the housing crisis. Thank you, Jared.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All
Melissa.
right. Hey, Bob, he's somewhere else in the market. I'm going to throw it over to you. Bob.
Thanks, Melissa. So I'm here in London with Sue Wastel from Wastel Homes. So Sue, being a well-established builder in the London area, what sort of problems are you experiencing with the current housing crisis?
Well, Bob, first, thanks for coming to London. We have seen tremendous growth over the last 5 years with lots of people coming down from the GTA, realizing what a great city London is to live in. And we have completely run out of supply. So when we, as a home builder and developer here in London, are ready to release new phases of construction, we are selling out those phases within literally minutes of release. So we've been trying to work with the City of London to really show them how important it is for us to get more supply on stream, but we are having difficulties getting that supply list going as quick as we need it.
Well, that's quite a problem. And it's back to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Bob. I am joined now by Andrew here, and we've just been having a conversation, and turns out you are London born and raised, and you have a 20-year-old son, and we were chatting a little bit about the issues that your son is now facing looking for housing.
Yeah, one of the appeals and one of the reasons I've always stayed in London is when I was young and wanted to raise a family and things like that, I was able to do that, right? Like, London was affordable. I was able, with a full-time job, to buy a 3-bedroom townhouse for $90,000.
What
right?
year was this in?
So this would have been the very early 2000s kind of thing. So less than $100,000 got you a 3-bedroom townhouse.
Wow.
A unit in that same complex right now is for sale for $490,000.
This is exactly what we're talking about when you look at the price increases over the years. So what is the reality now that your son is facing at 20 years old? What are the options?
I think it's what that entire generation is facing, where there's this pressure to do what previous generations have done, but I don't think we're really appreciating the situation that they're in and just how impossible that is with the prices the way they are and the lack of availability.
So do you think, so maybe I'm prying too much here, Andrew, but is he going to live at home longer, or is he going to try to buy a house with friends? Or?
Well, no, so we're fortunate enough that we all love each other and we get along fabulously. I'm sure that my wife would have him live with us for as long as he absolutely wanted, and so would I. But it's about having the choice, I think, right? And I don't think anybody wants to feel stuck in their circumstances.
And there isn't really the choice right now. So that's why we need to do and make the difference, and why we're out here having these conversations.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is exactly, Andrew is a perfect example. Having a son that's 20 years old, looking for a place to live. As Bob was chatting with Sue, we've got building supply issues. As I was chatting with Jared, everybody has a story. Everybody's got somebody or knows somebody that has an issue with housing affordability or housing availability. So that's why we need your support to be able to sign the pledge. So I encourage you to visit OntarioBuildMoreHomes.ca, sign that pledge, and help us get to the point that we need to have that affordable housing for everybody that is deserving of it.
Look for us Thursday at 11 a.m. We'll be coming to you live from Sudbury.